My brother, Randy Suber. You want to walk around, Mike, or you want to come up?
No, I'll come.
Okay. Don't shift my papers.
He's kind of a scary guy. On behalf of the family members here this morning, and I'm sure MIA families everywhere, thank you for this beautiful ceremony, honoring these 132 heroes. Very special thank you to Bonnie for that tremendous presentation. It's a privilege to be here, especially with these MIA families. Each one has an amazing story. I wish there was time for all of them to speak here today. If you have the chance, please ask them about their loved one and their own individual search for answers. Thank you to the Special Operations Association, the Special Forces Association, and to the Special Forces Charitable Trust. Special thanks to SFA Chapter 78 in Orange County, California, for including my family in its chapter. It has been awesome. Thank you to the National League of POW MIA Families, especially to Ann Mills Griffiths. She is amazing. Her leadership, dedication, and sheer tenacity have produced results, and we are all very grateful. Thank you, of course, to the DPAA and to Stony Beach in what is and has always been a mission far beyond challenging. I must also say how grateful I am for the extraordinary American value to do everything possible to return all warriors home. This is not only morally right, but also uniquely American. Thank goodness President Reagan reestablished this standard 40 years ago. It not only prioritized the return of all missing warriors, but still to this day assures all active duty military that the United States is committed to returning each warrior home. It took me a long time to finally understand that bigger purpose, but I now do, and it's made all the difference. My oldest brother, Sergeant First Class Randy Suber, was the assistant team leader on Recon Team Oregon in MACV-SOG Command and Control North. The six-man team, led by 1-0 Staff Sergeant Ron Ray, was listed as missing in action in 1969 on November 13th. The brief report said that the team was attacked and overrun by a numerically superior enemy force around 1600 hours, about 15 miles inside Laos in Saravane province. The report said that 3 of the 4 indigenous team members were killed and that both Ron Ray and Randy Suber were wounded and unresponsive. The surviving team member, Win Van Bon, was rescued several days later. Interestingly, and from a letter from my brother earlier, he had reported that all 4 indigenous team members were previously in the North Vietnamese Army, fighting against the United States just 1 year earlier. That short report was all the communication provided to my family for many years. At that time, we had no knowledge of the secret war or the requirement for those who served in it to sign an agreement prohibiting communication about their activities for 20 years. Did all of you guys honor that?
Not till.
The only clue to us at that time was that the team was lost in Laos, not in Vietnam, and that American soldiers were not supposed to be there. I was 11 years old at that time. My sister Marty was 3 years older than Randy, and brother Steve was 3 years younger than Randy. My dad was a career Air Force officer, a World War II combat veteran with a Distinguished Flying Cross. And at the time that Recon Team Oregon went missing, interestingly, he was the commanding recruiter for Missouri and Illinois. My mother came from a long line of career military professionals serving in every war since the Revolutionary War. We, of course, were devastated by the loss. All things considered, my parents showed incredible strength, wisdom, and compassion. They were also remarkably quiet, perhaps too quiet. It was as if they had signed the 20-year confidentiality agreement, even though we didn't know it existed. Other than a small group of trusted friends and family, we did not talk about Randy outside the home. My parents loyally attended League of Families meetings every year they could. I joined them for one league meeting in the mid-1980s when I was in my 20s. Honestly, it was depressing. While there, though, I met the youngest brother of Sergeant First Class Donnie Shue, another MACV-SOG Command and Control North Recon man. That team was lost in Laos just 10 days before my brother's team. We had a lot in common, but not much to say. Neither with enough information to have a meaningful conversation. Perhaps that would have been different a few years later as articles and books about the secret war began to surface. As you know, Donnie Shue and his teammates, Gunther Wald and Bill Brown, were recovered in 2010 and buried at Arlington Cemetery in August 2012. Like all MIA families, there were plenty of sad moments for us. Do you remember in the early 1970s being encouraged by the DoD to send a care package to your loved one? It was as if someone thought this was a sneaky way to get North Vietnam to confirm that your loved one was a prisoner of war. Exactly as instructed. My mom mailed the care package directly to a prison in North Vietnam. Kind of crazy. As part of that package, she included a beautiful pair of wool socks that she had knit. The package was returned several months later, directly from that prison. Everything was intact except for the wool socks. Apparently, some North Vietnamese soldier decided to keep them. Why not just keep the whole package? I mean, why spend the time or money on postage? That was weird and disheartening. My sister and brother still find it much too painful to talk about Randy, so we rarely do. Unlike my siblings, though, I wanted answers to 3 questions. What were Randy's activities in the war, particularly outside UN-sanctioned borders? What really happened to him? And why haven't we met anyone who knew or served with him? My wife, Irene, and our son, James, both here today, along with our 3 daughters, have been incredibly supportive. James, in particular, with his own curiosity and outstanding research skills, joined me on this in a big way over the last 10 years. He took my research and then he added even more. So here's the breakthrough. The Department of Defense scheduled a families update meeting in San Diego in January 2018. I did not want to attend. I disregarded 3 invitations. A few weeks before the meeting, though, a loud thought suddenly came to me. It was a new thought, especially after 48 years, and definitely not my thought. The purpose of attending that meeting was not to learn about my brother's case. Instead, it was to support the much bigger mission, to support all family members, all DPAA and Stony Beach professionals, and most of all current active duty military everywhere, reinforcing that extraordinary American standard of returning all warriors home. That single thought lifted the weight off me. It gave me new purpose, freedom, even joy. So then I knew I had to attend. The meeting was packed. It included families from the Vietnam War, but also the Korean War and World War II. During the sharing period, Barbara Burcham, right here, the wife of MIA MACV-SOG recon man James Burcham, encouraged family members to learn about their loved ones' military alumni groups. Honestly, Barbara, that idea had never occurred to me. That's crazy. And truthfully, I did not know there was an organization like the SOA. No clue. I certainly knew about the League of Families, but had not attended a meeting since the one mentioned earlier. Apparently, men from SOA started attending League meetings in a meaningful way after my parents passed on. During a break at the update meeting, I walked by a man wearing the unmistakable MACV-SOG logo on his shirt. That man was John Stryker Meyer. Tilt. Ever heard of him? Can you imagine after all that time? That's the guy I meet? Rick Estes was there too, representing the SOA. What were these two SOG men doing at this meeting? It caught me completely off guard. With my new perspective, though, I had no expectations of meeting anyone there who served with my brother. Not only did Tilt know my brother, but within months, he introduced me to 3 men who served very closely with him. Some guy named Mike Taylor. He ran 2 missions with Recon Team Oregon. Dan Thompson, the Covey writer on the team's last insertion. And the incredible Lynn Black, the man who led the Bright Light rescue mission for the team a few days later. It felt like I had hit the lotto. Between these men and a few others met here at SOAR in 2018 and 2019, I got answers to those questions and so much more. It was and still very much is the greatest blessing and has definitely led to more healing in our family. It also gave us an even greater appreciation for the character, courage, valor, honor, and patriotism exemplified by special operations men in that secret war. My parents would be so grateful. What would have happened if I wallowed in self-pity and not attended that meeting? What if Tilt had not attended? Or not worn his MACV-SOG shirt, which I gotta get one of those, by the way.
He doesn't have any other kind.
How many other MIA families, especially from the 132 heroes honored today, have not met their loved ones, SOA comrades? I bet it's a lot. Now, Mike Taylor also asked me to provide some perspective as an MIA family member on the efforts of SOA and SFA on the accounting mission. First, to us, yes, your efforts have no doubt contributed to the return of many men. Keep it up, please, especially for the 132 men honored here today. I don't know what specific strategies and tactics can produce even better results, but I'm sure that your leadership team is working on that. Second, for each one of you, keep telling your story. Writing, books, articles, poetry, public speaking, media interviews, podcast interviews, motorcycle campaigns, road races, golf tournaments, whatever. Your stories are incredibly inspiring, exhibiting uncommon duty, honor, and courage under the most extreme circumstances. I promise you, it's not just Americans hungering to learn more about your experiences, but also people throughout the free world. Especially now, the world really needs what you can share with them. And last, please continue to proactively connect with all SOA MIA family members. In fact, I would expand that effort to include the resolved MIA case families and KIA families. Connect them to their surviving comrades. Share stories, share photos, please. These connections have made all the difference for us. I think it will help everyone. I hope I've provided a little more insight from one MIA family's experience. Thank you again for today's beautiful ceremony, and God bless America.